Oh, I think she's here.
Yeah.
That's cool. So much to tell you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Call me. I just have to do one thing after, and then I could call you after.
Okay, or we could talk tomorrow, whatever. Ugh, my hip is killing me.
Oops.
Micah,
Micah, are you there?
I'm here. Hi.
Hi, Micah.
How are you?
Hello.
I just see you in that beautiful dress. Is that a dress or a pants
Well,
outfit?
it was like a jumpsuit. It was like pants with a dress on it. It was what I wore to the concert last year.
Really pretty.
I forgot how to change my home screen. I have to figure
I can't believe I'm actually on time for I mean, it's crazy.
You're early.
I'm early. I actually bought, can you see? I bought this for Julie and then my sister.
Oh,
And
fun.
Yeah,
like
really
a
sweet of
workbook.
you.
That's
And
awesome.
I've been like practicing like all the different things and everything.
That's great. We're going to do a back to basics class today.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
This is what I did. Where am
You
I?
can't see it. You can't see it, Julie.
The book that you got. You showing us the book?
No, it was just a blank square.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
I didn't get
a chance to finish it, but I started it.
Well, there you go.
It looks a lot like Julie.
Yes.
Hello.
Gail, did you say Baby Shark looks like Julie?
Yes.
And her name is Julie.
Because Baby Shark is Julie.
But I think she needs you look like Julie Telrov a little bit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, you do.
I see it.
Funny.
And
That's funny.
That is funny.
That is funny. Tiny little faces world.
Let me see.
Cantor,
Yes.
I missed last week. I forgot totally about it. Is it recorded?
It is recorded, but I need your son to come back to upload it onto the YouTube channel. I don't want to bother him with that right now.
Okay.
But it will be. I have the last two classes that I have to get up online, but I had Peter Epstein come today and we couldn't do it. So.
Okay, so it will be on the Temple website?
Yes, as soon as Jay's back from sabbatical. Unless you want to bug him about it, and then maybe we could get it up sooner.
Okay, I'll mention it.
Okay. All right, let's see. Let's spotlight. So we just are going to use, oh, I have to I'm mirrored. Hold on, let me get this on. Okay.
Micah, there's 2 designs only.
2 designs only. What does that mean? Say more?
I have 2 patterns.
Yes, we're not using any of the tiles with patterns. You should just have a plain square.
I have a plain round and a plain round.
Keep looking. Is that Gloria?
It's in there.
It's in there. You picked up your packet today. It's in there.
Yeah, that's Muriel on the phone. Oh, I have plain square. It says Zentangle on the front.
Did you find a plain square?
Yeah, it says an original Zentangle.
Yeah, turn it over and then it's plain on the other side.
Oh my God, we have to be real honest tonight.
What does that mean?
Muriel wants. Hi. Oh.
Hello. I'm sending Tamara the Zoom link. It's always the same link.
I just found it.
Oh, you got on?
I just found it. Yeah, sorry, I was having trouble finding the email with it.
Well, it's kind of tricky because you could copy and paste and put it like on your calendar when you have the Zentangle meetings, but otherwise it's should be on the website like in where you registered for
Oh,
the.
got it.
No, but that's
Okay.
hard to get back to. Oh, Muriel needs it too.
It looks like today we're using the
Hold
square,
on.
not the rectangle, right?
Micah,
Yeah,
Muriel needs the link.
I know. I'm working on it.
Oh, okay, she's working on it, Muriel. Oh, bye-bye.
Okay, she should. It's on its way to her now.
I'm sorry, Micah, is it just a regular square? Is it ripped on the sides?
No, it's just a regular square. It has a what do they call it? Like a beveled, like a deckled
Like
edge.
a,
Defcal.
I don't. Okay.
Yeah, we are going back to basics tonight. So plain, this is the original Zentangle tile. You can use your PN, I think is what you have in your kits, or an O1, your Zentangle pencil, and your tortillon. These are the original Zentangle tools. I'll explain why we're doing it. We're going back to basics in a moment.
There are 2 pencils, right? No, 3.
You right now you just need the black one that says Zentangle on it.
Yeah, there it is.
Aha.
oh, huh.
All right. Everybody have me spotlighted so you can see my screen nice and clearly. Okay, I'm gonna ask you to go ahead and mute. Can get some of you. We're gonna dive in. I'll explain. You can always unmute to ask questions. But otherwise, we're gonna have nice quiet time for ourselves as we do something artistic and meditative. So you can see the tools that we're using this evening on my screen: a plain square Zentangle tile, a black pen, either an O1 or the PN, which you might have in your kit, a Zentangle pencil, and a tortillon. If you want to have some of the other extras around, like your colored chalk pencil and a colored jelly roll, if you get inspired to add extra things, go right ahead. And maybe if we have time at the end, we can play around with embellishments like that. But we are doing a back to basics tile. Zentangle this year is 20 years old. And I think I've been a part of the Zentangle journey for about 10 years now. So that's kind of cool. So they're doing a whole bunch of things to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the birth of Zentangle. And one of the tutorials that came out this week or last week was an exploration of some of the earliest and most fundamental Zentangle patterns. So I thought it would be nice to kind of go back to the beginning and go back through the ritual step by step of Zentangle, because we veer far afield from what the origins of Zentangle were, which were much simpler than all the fancy stuff we do now, which is really fun and still Zentangle. But I thought it'd be nice to just pare it down and go back to how it all began. So with that, let's get comfortable. Feet flat on the floor. You can place your hands in your lap. Sit up tall but relaxed, and you can close your eyes. And let's take some deep breaths together, in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. One more time together, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Continue breathing long and slow and deep as you check in with your body, starting at the top of your head, your face, relaxing the muscles of your forehead, your eyebrows, your cheeks, your mouth, your chin, your jaw. Rolling your neck around gently if you care to. Maybe take a gentle twist in your chair to release tension in your spine. in your back and your torso. If you want, interlace your fingers, sort of turn them inside out and stretch your arms away from you, palms away, and shake it out. Just adjust your sitting position, relaxing your legs, knees, your shins and calves, perhaps roll your ankles a bit, wiggle your toes. Just check in and release any tension. And now go inside, go into your mind. Take a moment to look at and acknowledge the things that you've been thinking about today, pleasant or unpleasant, stressful or exciting. Give them a moment of your attention and then gently set them aside. We're not trying to push them away forever. We're just saying we're going to give these thoughts a rest for right now. They'll be here waiting for us when we're done tonight, but we can be free of them for a little while. And in their place, call to mind an intention, something that you want to bring to our Zentangle practice tonight, something you're working on, a bigger thing in your life, or something as simple as trying something new, being kind to yourself, having self-compassion, expressing creativity, self-care, whatever it is. Know that there are no mistakes in Zentangle. Just like in life, whatever happens on our little tile, we have to make the most of it, make it as beautiful as we can. Just like how we cannot control the things that happen to us in life, but we can control how we respond and bring as much grace and patience and optimism to everything that comes our way. So with that, let's take another deep breath in together and let it out. And I invite you to open your eyes and we'll begin. So we're going to walk through the 8 original steps of Zentangle, the first of which is gratitude and appreciation. So we have this beautiful time together. We have these fun and excellent tools in front of us. They're the best of what's out there. And we're in the company of our Temple Sinai family, and we have this time to do something fun. What could be better than that? So we express gratitude and appreciation. Our next step, I'm going to pick up my pencil and I'm going to make 4 little dots, one in each corner, about a quarter or a half an inch in from each corner. I'm just making 4 little dots with my pencil. And after I make those 4 dots, I'm going to connect them still with my pencil. And I'm not going to worry if the line is wiggly, straight, crooked, otherwise. I'm just going to connect those 4 dots, creating a border around my tile, a little frame. Now it's no longer a blank tile. We can let go of some of that anxiety that might be there of, oh no, what am I gonna do on this little blank tile? It's already got something on it, so now we're free. And after we make our 4 dots and connect them to form the border, we're going to create a string. The string is the suggestion for where we can put different tangle patterns. We have a specific string that we're going to use tonight because we're going to use the areas in different ways. So I'm going to decide which part is the bottom, it doesn't matter. They all could be, it's a four-sided figure, so they're all the same. And I'm going to go about, maybe 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom. And I'm going to make a line that goes across. And notice I turned my tile because it was more comfortable for me to draw that line coming towards me this way rather than try to draw it across this way. So, but however it feels comfortable for you. Then I'm going to make a little dot in the center of the upper line opposite this horizontal line that I just drew along the bottom, and I'm going to make a triangle. So from this left corner up to the line that I drew, and then from the right corner up to the line that I drew. I'm just going to make that a little darker so you can see it, but your lines can be quite light because the pencil of this string line is meant to fade away. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas where we're going to put 4 different elemental tangles this evening. Some of them you probably already know, and we can play with variations of them. So now I put my pencil down. I'm going to pick up my pen. I'm using an 01, but again, a PN is great. If you want to use a different color, anything, whatever you want. And we're going to start with this upper left-hand triangle that's kind of in this corner, the left-hand corner up here. And we're going to do a tangle called crescent moon. Most of you are familiar with crescent moon at this point, but I'll show you. We're going to start our crescent moon along this edge and this edge. And we're going to leave this alone. So crescent moon starts, I make a little line on my border, and then I make a little crescent shape, like a half moon on top of it, like a little ladybug shape, and then I color it in. And then I move a little ways away. You know, maybe it's the length of the metal nib of the pen point there, or maybe it's 1/4 of an inch or so. And then I'm going to make another one of those little.
Micah, we're drawing our own string. I'm sorry I was late. I couldn't find the link.
We are all drawing the same string. And I'm sorry, the link issue is, I should have sent you all a reminder and I did not have time today. So I'm sorry for those of you who had to go hunting. I'll do better about reminding us next time. So the string is, we're doing traditional Zentangle. We create the 4 dots and a border, then about an inch long band across the bottom, and then a triangle in the space above. Okay, we're going to keep going with these little crescent moon ladybug shapes, coloring them in. Then I'm going to turn my tile and go along this edge. I'm going to leave a little space between this one and the one that's perpendicular to it. You can aim to have them all be the same size, but you can see mine are kind of all over the place. That's fine. All right, so we're just going to do these 2 sides. And now each of these little ladybug shapes is going to get 2 auras. So I'm just going around that ladybug shape once like that. And then again, like that. So making a little rainbow over each one. I'm going to do that on all of them that I've laid down so far. And if if your auras come to touch the other ones, that's fine. And they may even start to overlap a little bit. And that's okay too. And then you can turn your tile and come up and do the other ones on the other side. So there's a lot of different ways to do crescent moon, but the way we're going to do it tonight, so we've done this round, this first layer. Now we're going to go into every one of these little V's and put another little ladybug shape. And if crescent moon is in your wheelhouse, and some of you I know can do this in your sleep, we're going to just fill this whole space building up these layers of crescent moon, so you can feel free to go at your own pace. If it's really familiar, make it the most beautiful crescent moon you've ever made. Or see if you want to, you can add some kind of a new embellishment that you have never done on crescent moon before. I don't know. Play with it. Okay, so once you've gone in between each of those spaces, I didn't put one in there because it seemed like it was going to run up against this one, but then I'm going to do my two little auras. We're striving for consistency, but it's kind of hard to do, so just let it happen. However it unfolds. These shapes may get smaller as you move towards the opposite length of the triangle. What is that called? The hypotenuse, is that right? Find your flow. Remember to breathe. Relax your grip on your pen. Put on your glasses. Realize suddenly that you cannot see. Use your judgment as you get the hang of it. Maybe not every one of these little crevices will take another crescent moon shape. Don't make it too jumbled, so just use your judgment. Listen to your tile, see what it wants from you. And it's okay if you go over that string line. This one I just drew escaped over the other side a little bit. That's totally fine. I want one down here too. And I think I'm just going to put one more little one right in here. So sometimes, you know, we've done all this crescent moon, and there's something lovely about the uniformity of them. You could decide for fun to pop in a couple of these auras that have orbs in them, perhaps, just as a little surprise here and there. Just a little something unexpected. Definitely not required, but maybe just a few like that. Kind of fun. All right. Let's go on to our next tangle. We're going to use this band that we put down here on the bottom. We're going to do a tangle called Xander, which I don't do very often, but it's actually quite fun. So maybe just watch me for a second. I'm going to make a series of bands that cut across this column. And they're sort of like backwards C shapes, just gently curving. So watch me first. It comes around and curves down, kind of hugging the that column that we've drawn in pencil. And then we just make another one right next to it so that it's a band. And then maybe about 3/4 of an inch away, I'm gonna make another one, same thing, another band, little backwards C, and another one that's kind of hugging that pencil line. And another one. And I think I'm going to put one more, but you know, your space might be different. Okay, so I ended up with 5. If you have 4, if you have 6, it doesn't matter. I'm just turning my tile this way for a moment because now I'm going to connect these side pieces here so that it is as if they are wrapping around the back side of our pencil column. And it's just kind of a little curved line that connects them. And then we can do the same thing on the other side, just going in the other direction. Like that. So I'm going to keep my tile in this orientation so that this column is vertical now compared to where I'm sitting. And I'm going to start by just going over my pencil line, but picking up my pen where these bands are now that we've just drawn. So I'm just reiterating the pencil line, picking up my pen and imagining drawing behind. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So, oh, and I forgot to mention, so crescent moon is the idea of a curved C shape and the idea of aura, you know, drawing a line around something that we've already drawn. So those are some of the fundamental concepts of Zentangle. And now we're incorporating straight lines into our design. And we talk about this a lot, you know, mixing up organic and more angular tangles. We like to have the contrast of the curved lines and straight lines. So now we're going to begin to add some texture with our Xander. So you can do this a couple of different ways. I was playing around with which one I liked better, and I'm not sure. So you could go and fill in this whole section here with little lines, and you can leave, sometimes you could leave a little space in between, you know, not draw a solid line through, and it makes it like a little highlight or a sparkle. And so you could do each section like that. Or, and this is really just personal preference, you could go down the line like this and fill in that way. It's really up to you. But we're going to fill in all of these with these vertical lines, and we're going to just sometimes leave little spaces just to give it, again, a little bit of interest, a little variation. You don't need it all to look exactly the same. Just taking our time. And these pens have such a nice grab on this textured paper. It's just very pleasing to draw these lines. And because the paper isn't perfectly flat, you get these natural little ripples and wiggles, and I really like that. Looks a little bit like bamboo. Muted myself to cough and forgot to unmute. So let's go on to our next area over here. We're going to do a tangle called static, but the way that I saw this done on this tutorial was different than how I had ever done static before. So I thought it would be fun to show you as well. So we're going to go through, I'm just deciding how I want to approach drawing this. Let's see, I'm going to start from this corner. I'm going to make a wavy line that goes all the way back to this corner over here through the roughly the middle, and like nice big wavy lines, random. And then at the peak and valley of each one of these lines on this wavelength, I'm going to weight it, which means I'm going to add a little bit more ink. So I put a little bit there, and then I'm going to put a little bit in the valley here. And then I'm going to add a little bit here. You can see I'm kind of retracing the line because it's hard for me to end that line off without getting a little tail. So if I go over it, the whole thing, it gets a little smoother. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so you can see at each peak and valley, it's a little bit thicker than the other parts of this wavy line. So once you've done that center one, we're going to use that auraing technique again, and we're going to aura that line on one side. I'm starting with the left side. And then I'm going to do the same thing with adding a little extra ink, a little bit of weighting, not W-A-I-T, W-E-I-G-H-T. So this is, if you are very familiar with Zentangle, this is sort of also like Senna or Diva Dance, but they were calling it static, and it's just an interesting sort of tangulation or a variation. Oops, got a little hand slip there, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going with this. So when this one starts to go off outside the borders, I'm going to end the line and then pick up where it would resume. I haven't quite got to that point yet, but like here, for instance, I'm not going to go over the border. I'm just going to kind of do that. We're just going to keep going all the way on this side doing that, and then we're going to go to the other side once we're finished. So I'll let you go at your own pace. If you go over the border a little bit, that's totally fine. If you go over it a lot, that's also fine. So it's interesting to see where that takes you when you just follow an aura one line after the next. So once I finished one side, I'm going to now come down here and do this other side. Relax your shoulders, remember to breathe. You need a lot of pen control for, following the leader on these aura lines, or sometimes my hand gets a little clenchy, so just reminding myself to relax. That looks very interesting, very cool, like that. Another minute to finish up your static, and then we can move on. While we're here, I'll write down the tangles that we've done so far this evening. Crescent moon. And Xander, which I don't remember if it's with an X or a Z. I think it's with a Z.
It's a Z.
Thank you. Crescent, Xander, and static. And next we're going to do Hullabow, which we have done before. And I'll give you some options for that. All right, so Hullabow are our overlapping planks. They crisscross. So this is another element of Zentangle, which is this drawing behind and the effect of overlapping, which is very fun to play with and brings a lot of depth and dimension to our Zentangle. So pick a place to start, really any way will do. I'm going to go here and I'm going to divide up my space like this. And then I'm going to aura that line. And that's my first plank that's going to lie on top of everything else. And I use Hullabow all the time. We've done it a bunch already. It's really versatile. And I think it's very fun. I really like to play around with overlapping and imagining where things fall behind other things. So now we're just going to go and continue to draw more of these planks, but when you meet up with one that you've already drawn, you pick up your pen, you imagine drawing behind, and then you resume just on the other side the way you left off. And then you do that with the aura. Pick up your pen, draw behind, and pick up where you left off. Not every single one of your planks has to overlap every time, so you can decide to kind of move around and fill as you desire. So I'm just kind of laying down a few more here and then play with how they are going to overlap. So just have fun with this. There's no set amount. You just kind of go until you feel like you've got enough. It's as full as you want it to be. Could be very full or very sparse, up to you. And your hollow bow planks, they could be similar width or they could vary. Some could be thin, some could be thick. That is up to you as well. I'm going to try one that goes down the whole length of this section here. The busier it gets, the more you have to focus on where you pick up and continue drawing behind. That's part of the fun, I think. A few more. So some different options for what you can do with hollow bow. You can try them all here, but you know, it might get a little busy and seem like a lot if, you know, well, whatever, you do however you like, but I just want to show you a few different things. So one option is you can always color in the background of hollow bow, which really makes those white boards pop. So you could always do something like that. If you wanted to create drama and put a lot of ink on your tile, if you like coloring in, that's a way to go. You could put anything really in the background. You could put orbs nestled in. Last week, was it last week? I think so. We tried that in Zeppeled hollow bow where we took our hard-boiled egg and we kind of shoved it in the spaces between. So we just kind of went in and rounded the corners inside the hollow bow shapes. So that's a fun option. Here's something really cool. This one is little, I'm just going to color it in. I'm going to have all kinds of things going on here. You could do a, what do they call it? Like a faceted, it's a faceted hollow bow background. So if you sort of aura inside the shape inside between the hollow bow beams and then connect the corners of that interior shape to the corners of the hollow bow beams, you get this kind of faceted look, which is very cool. So again, these are some of the fundamental tangles of Zentangle, but I'm giving you all those sort of fun and creative things. The sky is the limit for what you can do to enhance and embellish I really like the faceted hollow bow. That's has a really interesting look to it. And then on the hollow bow beams themselves, you can do things like give them these kinds of little, I don't even really know what to call that, but like carvings sort of carved into, if these are pieces of wood that we're imagining, they kind of start at the edges and are a little thicker and then thin as you go towards the center. Just little different, interesting details. So play around. Maybe you want to pick one. Maybe you want to try them all tonight. You have another, you have extra square tiles if you want to, play around and then commit to one in your next tile. Although it doesn't look bad with all of these different things going on. I thought it would kind of be all over the place, but it's Zentangle. Anything goes. So maybe I'll put some more orbs in this one up here. So the hollow bow is what we call a fragment. And then it's created these other spaces that we can also tangle in, and those are called the reticula. So it's sort of, the reticula become the tangle, the pattern within the pattern. And that's, you could go on and on and on. You could put a pattern inside in Zeppel or inside your orb. I mean, you could make yourself crazy. So I'm just playing around with some different techniques on my hollow bow. Maybe even in one like this, maybe a crescent moon from our other corner escaped into this section over here. And maybe there's a little cluster of crescent moon hanging out. Anything goes. So I'm just gonna, while I'm here, I might as well fill the rest of these spaces with stuff now. Doing that little carving on the rest of these. And let's see, I have 2 more sections. Let's put some facets. So we've got something like that. You can always come back if you want to play more with what's happening inside Hollow Bow. Right now I'm going to pick up my pencil and begin to do some shading. Really endless possibilities for the shading. I'm going to start, I like to go back the way I came. I'm going to start along this outside edge where we first started with our crescent moon. And I'm going to lay down some nice graphite all along those outside two edges. And then I'm just going to go over each place where one crescent overlaps the other. You don't have to worry about too much, blackening where it's already black. That doesn't do much, but in the white, where they overlap one another, go ahead and add some graphite there. And some people like to put all the graphite down first and then blend with the tortillon, but we can sort of go section by section. So once the graphite is down, take your tortillon, your little blending stump, and using the side of the tip, gently with little circles, blend in the graphite. So it's keeping it darkest along those edges where you first laid it down, blending it to a medium gray, and then leaving some white area, some unshaded, so that it doesn't all become a muddy gray, but you have a gradation from darker to light to white. So because there's so much ink on this particular tangle, it's it's just a little hint of shading, but it still makes a difference. And we can do the same thing with static. We can go along that outside edge again. Lay down some graphite along the edge. And then where each of those waves, where we put all of that weighted ink, we can go ahead and put some graphite in those sections too. And it's really going to make it ripple. So at first it may seem kind of strange to be sort of shading these horizontal lines or vertical lines, however you're holding your tile, up and down this tangle that we did, but it's going to really make it look like it's weaving. So you can go ahead and blend with the tortillon around those outside edges. You can just bring them in softly. And you can play around with the graphite. You can go lightly at first and then, go back in. You can always add more. So we have something like that. I wanted a little bit more drama, so I'm going back in with my pencil and darkening. Okay, now we can go in and play with Xander. So I want to really highlight these bands that cut across. So I'm going to shade on either side of them, above and below, or to the left and to the right, however you're holding your tile at the moment, whatever's comfortable for you. I'm going pretty heavy. And I'm also going to go down the sides, and this time I am going to color on the bands because I want it to look like, it's rounded, and those sides, those edges are receding into the background. So got something like that. And then you can go ahead and blend with the tortillon. Leave this center area lightest. So it's darkest on these edges and closest to the bands. but the center is light, as if it's rounded and the highest part, so it gets the most light hitting it. Little circles with the side of the tip of the tortillon. I'm not pressing hard at all. That will preserve the blending stump, and also it won't kind of rake up the paper either. And once you've been shading with the tortillon, you have some graphite that's kind of always on there. You can go in and shade without having to add more graphite sometimes if you just need a little bit somewhere. Like I'm just sort of shading at the top of it. Okay, so now we have this center with all of this hollow bow stuff going on. I'm going to first go around and add graphite all the way around, because all of these other tangles are sort of on top of hollow bow. Hollow bow is sort of underneath. So I want all of the edges of hollow bow to recede behind all of these other tangles that we drew. So I'm going to go around, put down a nice layer, and then I'm going to find this. Here's the top one. Here's the first one that I drew. So I can go in and on either side of it, put some graphite, and then I can go do the same thing on the other ones that overlap ones that fall behind. So really accentuating the layered nature of hollow bow. So I'm going to start with that and, see what else, if anything, it wants after that. I'm turning my tile as I go so I don't drag my hand through all the graphite. As a lefty, that is an occupational hazard. I don't know if the same thing happens for you. So shading, where we are right now, I believe is step number 7. We had gratitude and appreciation was step number 1. We had our 4 dots, step number 2. We had our border, step number 3. We had our string, step number 4. Tangling was 5. Shading is 6. So we're up to 6. We have 2 more to go. You always go back in and add more graphite if you feel like you need some more somewhere. And once we're satisfied with our shading, our next step is to put our chop on the front of our piece of work. So our chop is our initials or some kind of symbol or something that identifies our tile as ours from the front of it. My chop is an M, so I'm going to go ahead and put an M right in here. It becomes part of the artwork. You can do yours however you like. Then we can flip it over. We have the names of the tangles that we did. We also kind of played with in Zeppel, and we did some faceting, but that's not really a tangle, it's just a tangulation. We played with tipple, which are those little orbs. Anything else? What did we do? No, that's about it. And then we can put the date. Today is the 17th, 2024. Put your name. And I like to, you can write your intention, or I'm going to put Zentangle session 3 with Simple Sinai. And our last step is, once again, gratitude and appreciation. So we, not only can we admire our own, but I'm going to take the spotlight off and put my gallery view on. You have to do that for yourself. But you can hold up your tile for everyone else to see and appreciate, and look at what everybody else did with their Hollabow reticula. Oh, these are great. Beautiful. Very nice. Phyllis, did you play with color? Did you do colors? I love it. Gail, looks like you did too. That's great. Oh, and Jane also. Wow, fabulous. Yeah, Rebecca did some purple. Awesome. These look great. I love them. So this was back to basics. This was a beginner type Tangle class, but we hopefully elevated it to all kinds of different things that we could play with and experiment with to make these tangles that we know and love even more interesting and still full of life. So I hope you enjoyed it. We ended a little early today, which I kind of figured for a tangle like this, a tile like this. I would be happy. We can end now if everybody is feeling good about that. If there are tangle patterns that you would like to see demonstrated, or if you want to play around with anything and you want my help, I'm happy to stay on and we can tangle on another tile and just play, or we can call it a night. And that's it for our series of 3 in January, but we have our half-day Zentangle retreat coming up in February, and we've got some really fun stuff planned for you for that day. People want to,
Micah,
yeah,
when are you going to be doing it again at night? The next set group of
yeah. Let's see. Is it March? Is it April? Hold on, I just have to look. Looks like March.
And Micah, where is the February one being held?
It's at Temple Sinai. We'll be in the building in person
All day or?
from 10:30 in the morning until 2:30. We'll have 2 hour-and-a-half long sessions to Zentangle, and we'll have lunch together in between. And you can register on the website. It's going to be really fun. Amy and Nan are going to teach with me. Anybody else have questions or want to play around with anything?
Micah, I had a question. Sometimes you talk about like how you decide which patterns to put next to each other, and you talk about how it's nice to contrast and have a lot of ink and then a little ink. Can you just talk about that a little bit? Like as you think of which patterns go well together?
Sure. I think it's mostly, well, it's a lot by feel and by, listening to the tile. I really do feel like it's like an intuitive process. Like when we did this one last week, I wanted good night, Rebecca. I wanted the tangles that we did in black to kind of be the ones that were on top and stand out the most. So I chose ones that were, that had a lot of ink. This was one, I just found this the other day. We did this on Yom Kippur one year, and this uses a lot of the same elements that we did tonight. That same challah bow that was faceted, but we colored in some of the background ones and I feel like, I did these darkened areas because I wanted this sort of floral center to stand up away from it. So I feel like the, areas that are darker will go to the back, will go underneath, and areas that are lighter will come to the top. So you could sort of play around with those kinds of elements. And then you can see, sort of these softer curling lines on a background of more angular lines. It's just about, it's the yin and yang. This was one I was playing with. Again, it has those wavy flux petals with a more linear shattuck, and some colors that were in there. This one, let me see what else I got. These kinds of things, again, that same idea where those certain shapes come to the top because they're lighter, and the dark underneath helps to provide that contrast. I don't know if that helps at all.
Yes, no, the examples really bring it to life. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot. I have so many. I just have a plastic baggie full of Zentangle tiles. This was a cool one I think we did a few years ago with different color pens. And this is a really fun tangle called Marisu that you could do a lot of different things inside. But the more ink, the more attention the tangle gets. So
It looks three-dimensional.
yeah. This is on a tan tile. The tan ones are great because not only can you shade darker, but you can use that white charcoal pencil to get those white highlights too. And you really get the three-dimensional look with the tan tiles. This was a whole series. This one was really fun too. Same kind of thing. This is just challah bow, just like we did tonight, but it's like a wavy challah bow in blue. But again, it's darker around the edges, and it kind of goes underneath these other tangles, and then it's lighter where it sort of seems to come closer to the top of the surface.
Micah, where can we find your recordings?
Well, that's a great question. So on the Temple website, if you're logged into your account, you can go to the streaming page. If you scroll all the way to the very bottom, in the bottom left, there's like the Temple Sinai logo, and then there's the YouTube logo. If you click on the YouTube logo, you'll get sent over to our YouTube channel, which has many of our previous Zentangle broadcasts. However, these last 3 are not yet up because it's Rabbi Jay's YouTube account, and I don't have his login info, and I don't want to bother him while he's on sabbatical. But they're all recorded. I've recorded them all, and they're on my computer right now. And as soon as he's back, or when his mom Gail nudges him, we'll get them up on our YouTube channel.
Okay, thank you.
But there's 8 or so that are already there if you want to watch previous ones.
Thanks.
Sure.
I am not sure exactly what I'm doing, but if anybody's I'm going to be teaching on Monday at 3:30 via Zoom. And I don't provide the supplies, but if you've got extra tiles, I always work on a square tile with a black pen and a pencil and a tortilla. So if anyone's interested, I can put the link in the chat in the box. I'm not sure what I'm teaching. I might teach something Mike has taught before, but if anyone's interested, I can put them in there. I usually do it about once a month. And in the winter, I'm doing it on Zoom. In the spring and summer and early fall, I do it in person in Wilton.
Cool.
Amy, how do you, if you put it in the chat, how do we save that link to click on it later?
Excellent question.
Because that's not what the link I'm gonna put in the chat, because it's a library. The link I'm gonna put in the chat is the link to register. Once you register,
Oh, okay,
like the Friday before the class, you will get a link that way.
okay, okay.
It's actually a registration link. It's not the link to the program.
Okay.
So I put that in the chat.
Okay, good.
I just found this one. This one's actually not done, but something I love to do is paint the backgrounds of a tile first and then tangle on top of it. And this is a crazy tangle called Waybop, which is really fun. And then this was from ages ago, but this is a white Zendala tile, but because of how I painted it and then colored in the background, it looks like a black tile. So just really fun ways to play with the illusion of what color the surface is. And anyway, just things to get inspired and get ideas from.
Cantor,
Yes.
you did, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but you did something that had like a gem in the center.
Oh yeah.
And it was one that I missed, and I'd love to have you do that again, maybe the next session.
I would be happy to do Zen gems again. I love them. I'm looking to see if I have any.
Yeah, they were beautiful.
That was so fun. The only thing is you have to, if we don't have we don't have colored pencils in the kit. So you'd have to get your own colored pencils at this point, but I would love to do that.
Do you have the bijou tiles?
Wait, they don't have to be bijou. I think a bigger tile would be better. I'm looking to see if I have any Zen gem tiles in this baggie here. I don't, but Zen gems are really, really fun. So we should do that. Does everybody have colored pencils of some kind?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could get a Crayola pack of 12. All right, so one of the classes, we'll use one of our Zendalas and we'll do a Zen Gems class. That's a
Good,
great
thanks.
suggestion. I love it.
Yeah, it was just about whatever it was this time of year because it came up in my memories. Okay,
I
here.
saw that too on Facebook. Yep. Yeah, there it is. See Amy's? Hold on, let me spotlight you so you can see it. Yeah, so you can make these really three-dimensional
Wow.
and embellish around them. It's very, very fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you just need your own colored pencils, but we can do that. I love it. Great. I'll come up with some different ideas for what we can do around them. Awesome. Anybody have any other questions? Yeah, Gail.
No, just saying
Bye.
thank you.
Good night. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank
also.
you, everybody.
Okay, thanks and good night.
Good night.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
You too.
Mike, I have one other question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Do I need to register for the I'm realizing I haven't registered for the
Yeah. I mean,
Did I register?
yeah, it would be good just so that we know for numbers.
It just occurred to me, I'm like, well, I'm helping teach it, so do I register or do I not?
Yeah, it's probably best if you do, so then we know our numbers, but it's on my list. I'm going to email you and Nan hopefully tomorrow and we'll make a plan to get together.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night.
Thank you. Good
You're
night.
welcome, Marty, and good night. Take care, everybody. Bye.